Welcome, everyone. Yes, the premiere. Well, I was saying, some people, like Paul, for example, was unsure if this was a premiere or not. We have already put this online, so thousands of people have watched it. Hundreds of thousands of people have watched it. But tonight is the first time we get to watch it together. Yeah! Woo! Yeah. It's a premiere night. It's super fun. And so thank you all for being here. All the friends and family, all the people who helped us put this together. We're going to be thanking a lot of people tonight, but really quickly, I want to start off by thanking Tell Us Fund for funding the series and the Stories for Caregivers platform, and then, of course, Bannister Bergen, who is sort of the executive producer on this. We had so many people, actually, behind the scenes go into making something like what we're going to watch tonight. And, so we'll get to meet some of them. We'll get to hear some funny stories. Hopefully they're funny. There's a few maybe hair-raising stories also. I remember watching Phil sitting on the front of a boat with his, $1,000 video camera, like wobbling back and forth, and that was very scary for me. So we'll hear some stories like that, and we'll get to talk to some of the caregivers who are here tonight. And so we're just gonna jump right in with the first story. And we decided, and I better make sure that I'm choosing the right one. We are gonna watch Christina's story first. So Christina, right here, just do a little wave. Yes. Awesome. So it's great that you're here with us, Christina, and man, it was such a cool experience, and we'll have a chance to chat about it afterwards a little bit. But yeah, I had never been, I've been horseback riding, I think, when I was 7 years old. So this was a big trip for me, too. So let's go ahead, we'll watch it. It's episode number 4, Christina's story. Here we go.
Hello, friend. Hello? What? Oh. No, nope, not without my consent, buddy.
Yeah. My name is Dr. Mike Lang. Over many years of adventure expeditions, I've learned how living outdoors teaches you to embrace uncertainty. Christina understands uncertainty, as her son was born with a severe heart defect that led to many complications, procedures, and hospital visits over the past 8 years. Today, he's doing better, and so along with Dr. Lisa Belanger, a behavior change expert, we are riding horses deep into the backcountry to talk about the challenges of letting go after many years of hypervigilant caregiving. This is Caregivers in the Wild.
Perfect. Yeah! Woo! There it is.
Hello.
All right.
The cool thing I always find about this, Mike, is this really hasn't changed much.
Yeah.
In like 100 years.
In 100 years. Yes.
I'm ready.
Something like that.
Look at that. He turned around. All right. Whoa. Whoa. There we go. Yeah. Let's go.
Sam was diagnosed with hypoplastic left heart syndrome. He had strokes. He had gut issues. He has cerebral palsy. And I think he was over 4 or 5 when we figured out that he had spent more of his life out of the hospital than he did in. Are you going to follow? Let's just wait.
Christina, whoa. Where are we going? Whoa, whoa.
We were always just waiting for the other shoe to drop, because there was one year that we had like 30 ambulance trips. We kept a bag packed always, a go bag. I still have it sitting in my pantry. I'm not going to unpack it. Our lives changed so much. We were not prepared for any of it.
We're going to be buddies today. Snickerdoodle apparently is a face guy.
Do you like that? Or are you quiet?
Nope, I can't do that.
Oh. Hello, sunshine.
One thing that really resonated with me that you talked about yesterday is the constant uncertainty, like waiting for the other shoe to drop. Here, how does that feel? Do you still hold that? Is that a constant, or are you able to let go at times?
It is a constant. And you're always thinking about what's next. What do I need to prepare for? What have I not done? It's so hard to be in that moment and really let it go.
I wanted to show you guys something that someone showed me when I was having a hard time letting some important things
that I thought were important to me, letting them go. So he picks up a rock and he shows me this. And so he says, okay, I'm gonna hold this rock as tight as I can. I'm gonna try and get away from you. He doesn't even move. Yeah, there's no way. There's no way, right? And he's like, okay, now just open your hand and grab my wrist this time. And when you open your hand, right, and you're not holding on to something so tightly,
Yes.
when you let go, all of a sudden your arm is looser, right? All of a sudden you have more movement in your life, right?
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. And you know, it's such a great example of how when we hold on to things tightly, it really restricts our lives. I think in the same way you're holding too tight on those reins, right? You're not going to be, you're going to be pulling the horse backwards instead of going forwards.
Yeah. And you can think of that in so many different contexts, right?
Yeah.
Just instead of walking around with a closed fist and being rigid and, you know?
Holding on to everything so hard.
Right.
Yeah. I think up until that point in my life, I think everything I let go of had like claw marks on it.
Yeah.
You know, like
Right.
I was holding on to everything.
White knuckled all the
It was
way.
just like- sort of dig into it at all, you know, to pull it out.
It's like I want milk, I want water, I want
Yeah.
dinner, I want,
Yeah.
you know.
Or, you know, you see it.
I loved it because it was just like so far outside of anything I've ever done, actually.
Yeah.
You know, like on a horse on a mountainside next to a beautiful little creek.
That green meadow that was a
Yeah.
bit open and you could see the mountains against the trees, and it's just, it was like a, you know, like a painting or something like that. It was just beautiful.
When you look at all the research on happiness, the one thing that constantly comes out is finding the many moments of awe. It talks about that direct link all the time, but certainly in periods of distress. So it becomes more important to be able to find that, hold that. The number one way to get it is nature.
I wonder, you know, if the way that you can lose control very quickly, you know, in a caregiving situation, and in these mini moments of awe, you know, how could those two things be related in some way?
I think you need to allow yourself to be surprised. So if you are fully prepared all the time and, you know, you're ready to go, then you're never going to be set off guard, right? Like, oh, okay, I've dealt with this before. You're holding too tight. Yeah. And once you're able to sort of let go and recognize that the control is not yours, and, you know, the world has something to give to you if you're ready to take it and allow yourself to be surprised by those moments.
If you were living like this, then nothing can be given to you because you
No.
can't take hold of it. But if you're living like this, then, you know, these mini moments of awe, you're ready for them.
And you're focused right here. Your whole focus is right this, on your control, and you're missing everything else around you.
That's why I loved the horse analogy so much, is you can lead them in the right direction, but you can't control where their feet go.
Who knows where things will go from here, right? But looking for those mini moments of awe and living with an open hand. It's got to point you in the right direction.
Right. There we go. Christina's story. Man, lots of memories. Come on up here, Christina. Let's give her a round of applause. We get to chat now. This is one of the really cool things about getting to do this live with you guys is we get to have conversation. Oh, sorry. All right. There was a. Yeah, I know. Yeah, you got on a horse. You'll be fine. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, it's fun doing this live because we get to chat. You know, and I think one of the coolest things about a good story is that it starts good conversation. And it's really hard when you have a 7-minute episode to decide what to include. And we could have easily made an hour-long series, an hour-long episode out of all the conversations we had, me, you, and Lisa. Yeah. Man, it was hard to choose what things to talk about. And so I guess my first question for you is, what's something that you remember, either a conversation or an experience or something like that, that happened that didn't make it into the episode?
You know what? It's almost a bit of a blur because there was so much happening that weekend. You know, you had it set up that we had these little moments to, little excursions to go ride on the horses, and then we would have break time. I think what I remember about the weekend was just, it was so much fun. I knew it was going to be, it would be a little bit heavy, and there'd be a lot of, discussion about really sensitive and vulnerable things. But I wasn't prepared for the amount of ridiculousness that came along with that. So it was just such a wonderful time. The one part though I missed was when we were, I think it was the last day, and we were down by the creek. We finally got down to the creek, and it wasn't raining, and it was just beautiful. And that was also a really wonderful spot.
Yes, yeah, we did a final quiet time next to that beautiful river. We just sat there for a bit and enjoyed it. And I think that was one of the things that I think cut across all the episodes, just being able to stop and just enjoy the place that you're in. And man, I really appreciate that too. And it actually was amazing how much fun we had. there was late night bonfires.
Yes.
There was lots of stories and laughter. I mean, it's interesting, because one of the things I love about being outside is that you have just these incredible moments in the midst of some really intense conversation, right? And it's for some reason the balance is just perfect, Well,
and I had never been on anything like that before. Like you said, but you had never really been on a horse. I had been on a horse, but someone had led me around.
Yeah,
I'm sure it was at the Stampede.
Here we are crossing
like
creeks with giant boulders and stuff, and I'm like, what are we doing?
But I just had full trust that this was what was going to happen, and we would be absolutely fine. And whatever we talked about, whatever was going to happen was going to happen. So as much as I look at myself on that video and say that, oh, you just, you let go, and you just, I can say that. We all can say that. It doesn't actually mean that you're going to let go. But now that I look back and I recognize, we put a lot of faith in just hoping things would go well. And I think that also resonates with the rest of our, our caregiver stories. You just have to have, trust that something else will cover you, and it's not just all you anymore.
Yeah, and I mean, that's what I love about it is you're talking about letting go, but you're also showing it on the screen, right? Like going on that trip was, like you were saying earlier, a van shows up with Joel and Phil in it. Come on, we're taking you away for 3 days.
6 o'clock in the morning.
And Drew is like, who are these guys?
Is it okay if I go in the van with these guys?
Yeah.
To Fernie?
I know. I think, it's amazing. It really is. And I could say this for all the caregivers that came on the trips, right? That is an act of vulnerability and letting go of those of control over all these things, because we're literally going out into the wilderness. We have no idea what's going to happen while we're out there. It could rain on us, a horse could get away, and it did. Yes. And but it's just I think that's one of the things that makes these little episodes so powerful, is it isn't just talk about it, it shows it, right? People are literally doing what they're talking about. And so I guess here's another question for you. You talked a little bit about like holding on the reins too tight and letting go a little bit, and those many moments of awe. And the hardest part obviously is coming back home from a trip like that. So what was it like coming back home, and have you been able to continue on some of those ideas?
It was surreal. It was like coming back to real life. It was just, okay, I have to go do laundry now, and I need to feed the kids, and someone's got to get groceries. But then thinking back, I was just on a mountain, on a horse. It was such a step away from my normal life that it really became almost like a dream, And so every time I watch these, every time I watch the clip, I think, oh yeah, that's right. I remember that now. And that was real. And it wasn't just something on a TV, screen or anything like that. It was a real experience. And so, as we say, you bring, what did I bring back? I brought back the idea of, I don't spend enough time in nature outside. Just our family, the way that it has worked is that, we're not the kind of family that goes on bike rides or, really goes on walks or anything like that. It's just not something that we can do. But knowing how how much peace and calm and being out there, how much relief that it gave to me in those few days. I thought, you know, my kids are missing out on this. My husband's missing out on this. We need to do this more because this is such a great feeling. So we tried. I did. I tried.
All right. Where'd you go?
We went, after we finished with you, we went on vacation actually to Vancouver Island, and we went paddleboarding.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
On the ocean and kayaking and things like that. So
cool.
It made me feel brave.
Yeah.
Even when I
Totally.
did not.
Yeah. Wow. That's really cool. You know, I think, man, you know, once you step out a little bit, you know, all of a sudden there's a whole new world that can open up, right? And I think after, you know, we talked a lot about, you know, being hyper vigilant, you know, and how, you know, 30 ambulance trips to the hospital in a single year, you know, and how you were constantly on, you know. I think one of the things that we learned from Lisa, right, is that nature helps us turn that off a little bit.
Yes.
And we need that, right? We all need that, whether we're a caregiver or, you know, dealing with other things in our lives. And so, yeah, it's really cool you got to give it a shot on a paddleboard in the ocean. That's sort of next level too. I mean, ocean's scary sometimes.
Well, it was Sam, my son, went.
Was out there. Awesome.
And he loved it.
Cool.
And I think it's because he's got no context of, you know, like what the ocean is and what's under and what could happen.
What's underneath
he was
it,
just so thrilled, and that reminded me these are opportunities that he needs to have, right?
Yeah.
We haven't been able to do that before, so now let's get out and do something fun while we can, right? So,
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Well, you know, it was cool. You know, one of the things I remember us talking about a lot is how Sam is doing now. You know, and there was a beautiful moment where you were talking about being able to watch him out in the street playing hockey with, you know, with all the other kids, and how that was such a big moment for you in your life. It's sort of cool to know that he's doing that in other ways too, outdoors, like on the paddleboard and all that stuff. And so, yeah, I think it's amazing. You know, one of the things that on all of these trips, we learned so much from each other. And man, there's so many things I learned from you on that trip that I wish I could remember right now. But luckily, we have it all videotaped, so we can always go back and watch more. So awesome. Well, thanks, Christina, for doing this. If we're going first, let's hear one more time. One more for Christina. Yeah, awesome. Thank you. All right. Hey, well, you can go this way this time. You don't have to climb down the. Awesome. Well, you know, as Christina heads back to her seat, you know, there's always lots of other people to thank. In this particular episode, though, Travis and Heather Crabb, their daughter Pearl, and then Krista, our wonderful guides who kept us from killing ourselves on those horses. And of course, we should thank the horses because they were amazing. They were very patient. They put up with a lot of us like backing into each other and going the wrong way. But they knew they were in charge. They would stop and eat whenever they wanted to. So awesome, cool. Well, let's watch another one. This actually the series started back in February when we did the pilot episode, and we went dog sledding. And so we're gonna watch that one right now. There's a lot of interesting stories behind this one, including what do they call that? Atmospheric river and a closed highway. And a 7-hour detour. There was lots of things that happened in this episode, but man, did it turn out pretty awesome. So here we go. This is episode number 1, Karen's story.
My name is Dr. Mike Lang. For 10 years, I took young adult cancer survivors and their caregivers on week-long adventure expeditions, and I saw firsthand how spending time away from our everyday environments can help us think differently. Today, I'm taking a mother of 2 autistic children on her own adventure with Dr. Lisa Bellinger, a behavior change expert. Together, we will explore both Karen's caregiving experience and the Selkirk Mountains of British Columbia. This is Caregivers in the Wild. So what do you think about the snowshoeing so far?
Fabulous.
Fabulous? All right, great.
We could make this an annual event.
Yeah? There you go. Yeah.
When we adopted the boys, we didn't know they were 4 months old. Their early years was really difficult. And my husband coined that as self-diagnosed bad parent syndrome. And then when we actually got diagnosis, which was autism for both of the boys, then it started to make sense.
Yeah.
They're almost 21 next week, and they are both at home.
Yeah, we're both at home.
It's all encompassing, and that's how you spend all your time.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's a big caregiving burden. And you know, that's why it's great Lisa's here.
Yeah.
Because she's an expert in helping people develop good self-care behaviors that I think you're going to need.
When or if you do get a 10-minute, 20-minute break, what is your go-to?
Go for a walk with the dog.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what we're going to be doing all day tomorrow. Except there's going to be a bunch of dogs and we're going to be going really fast. Yeah.
So if you take the dog for a walk and that's your respite, or that's your recovery, that's your break, if you're still thinking about caregiving, you're doing two things poorly, because you're not caregiving in that moment and you're not getting the respite you need from being like doing the activity.
Yeah.
So the quicker you can get into it and be fully into it, the more benefit it's going to have.
I think, you know, that's great for me to think about too, right? Is how to stay in that moment, you know, on the sled and enjoying that time.
So is he going to actually teach us how to hook up the dogs and
Yeah,
all that
I think
stuff?
so. I mean, it's a trip of discovery.
That's probably where they go. Is you gonna be okay in there like that? Okay. Yeah.
No first class, no
Oh, it's all depends
champagne,
what
no-
you call it. It's business class, first class, cargo class.
Yeah, you first class, me and Lisa are going to be going together.
Okay, you guys ready? Yeah. All right, guys, let's go! Come on, guys. They go from like zero
to 100.
Zero to pulling their face off.
Yeah.
Those dogs are just giving her. So when you're sitting there sort of riding, what were you thinking about?
Lots about the dogs, but also reflective about life and how it compares a little to what the dogs are doing.
Yeah, in what way?
You know, they're working hard and still loving it. You can let your thoughts just wander and enjoy the time.
Yeah, and not think about caregiving when you're not doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we think of rest as something that, you know, we stop doing everything else. And it's not. It's actually typically an active thing where we're doing something else, right? And even when we sleep, our brain's more active than any other time. It's just different parts of your brain. So what you're trying to do is give one part a break and turn on another part. And that tends to be what happens when we get out in nature.
It forces it off. In what way? Tell us more.
Go on. The corpus callosum is the part of your brain that's on during heavy decision making functioning, and it would be on for you all the time with the work you do. And being out in nature forces that off. It's almost like a forced meditative state. I'm oversimplifying, but that's the idea. And so to really embrace that when you have it.
Oh, really? So be intentional about finding it, knowing that it will serve a purpose.
Exactly. So if you get 5-10 minutes, being able to use nature to get you into the moment quicker.
Yeah.
And if you need something to trigger you, go to your 5 senses. What do I see? What do I hear? What can I taste? Those things to get you into that moment.
Just watching them, they were so focused and so intent on what they were doing. It's remarkable. They're not individual dogs. Once they're hooked up, they're a team of dogs.
You could tell that all they were thinking about was running. And it was such a great picture of being fully engaged in an activity. Here we go. Yeah.
I feel rested and ready to go back, and I do feel like I'm going to be a better me once I get back.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're going to have a lifelong responsibility for your children. So I hope you'll be able to continue to have moments like this to get the energy that you're going to need to keep going for another 20 years.
Karen couldn't be here tonight because of she had some caregiving responsibilities she needed to take care of. But she will be watching this. And so one more for Karen. Yeah. It's awesome. Speaking of people who literally just, I called up and said, hey, do you want to go dog sledding? Sure. Who are you? She's just amazing to jump right in as the very first participant. And yeah, it was a really great trip. And so I wanted to invite up Lisa really quickly, just because Lisa was in there. Where are you out there? I can't see anything. There she is. All right, let's hear it for Lisa. And Lisa, you can go around the door here. Yeah. And so she's a familiar face in this episode. She came on 3 of the trips with us, and we had lots of fun together. And so we'll ask her a little bit about that first trip, but maybe we can talk a little bit more also about some of the other trips you went on too. So first of all, Lisa, the turning your brain off thing. That was like really big deal for me. I'd never realized that that's what nature was doing for me. How do you encourage, you do a lot of public speaking, you do a lot of corporate stuff. How do you encourage people who live in the middle of the city, to turn their brains off in sort of a time efficient manner? You had some of the things up there, but yeah.
So first of all, you did realize that you just didn't know it was happening because you
That's right.
talked about like that 3-day effect.
That's right. We knew 3 days. All our trips were 3 days because we knew 3 days was like the minimum you need.
So he knew this, as in I told him the research said that.
I know, and then
I
found out later the research told it. I was like, yes, perfect.
But yeah, being able to incorporate nature. So what the literature shows too is that it's just like, ideally it's getting out and immersed in nature in the way that we did. But fundamentally it could be views of nature. It could be small doses of nature, which is like plants, sitting outside to drink your coffee. Pets, not goldfish, I asked. It has to be cute and fluffy to have
Not goldfish.
that effect. But we even know like a good view of nature decreases surgical recovery time by over half.
Really?
Right?
Wow.
Or in half, I should say. So it's so powerful, even in these small doses. So we talked about mini moments of awe, and it's almost like mini moments of nature that we can put through our day too.
Yeah. And you also talked a little bit about how nature is one of the best ways to experience those mini moments of awe.
Right.
And I think that's sort of cool. It cuts across 2 episodes here,
Yeah.
I never thought about that as one of the reasons why nature was so good for me in particular, right? So yeah. Cool. Well, Lisa, we could literally talk for hours. We did on all of our trips. But let's hear just one little story that stands out to you, or something you remember from one of the 3 trips you were on. It was the 2 we've watched, and then you also went on a rafting trip with us. We'll watch later, but
I have 2 mini stories.
all right.
One thing that always fascinates me about trips like this is how quickly you connect with the other human beings. We had no cell service.
Yeah.
The whole time, right?
It was awesome. It's the
So
best.
you got to know the people you're around very quickly, and I love that, and I think it's something that brings people together in that human connection element. But the thing that stands out is we were by a bonfire, and it was amazing how being in nature was, especially I was with the caregiver who was female, and watching these males revert to about being 12 to be like, we should throw this stick in this water and see how far it can go.
What are you talking about? Yes. We played a lot of games. There's lots of fun games to play in nature.
But it was also how much you learn about yourself, even for me, being in that feeling of uncertainty and uncomfortableness, right? Like just outside of my norm and pushing myself in that way. So certainly it was about the caregivers, but I got so much from it to experience that. And when I can't tell you the last time I was immersed in nature for 3 full days.
3 full days, yeah. No cell service, yeah.
Or 7.
Yeah. Yes. Cool. That's awesome. So if there's one sort of thing that happened around the story, around the episodes, is there like one sort of interesting behind the scenes story that you remember from all the trips you did?
How it is absolutely universal that nobody wants to go to the bathroom in the woods.
Yes. That's something we never filmed, We just didn't feel right trying to film people go to the bathroom. But.
Yeah. But how much we talked about it too.
Yeah.
No, again, it's just going to come back to that human connection on all the trips. informal conversation, and how one, it got deeper quicker, and certainly it was the intent of being together, but I know it's the nature and being by fire and not having cell signal that kind of incorporates that and gets you into that humanness faster. That's what we've been missing the last 3 years, and arguably before that too.
Yeah, I know, totally. Yeah, and I mean, me and Lisa, I think we had a conversation on the drive home from one of our trips, thinking like, man, we get more of these trips than I think the people who we take.
Yeah, 100%.
And
we actually do it for ourselves.
Yeah, it feels that way sometimes because you just learn so much, right? And you have such a great experience, and ultimately you just have a lot of fun while you're talking about things that matter. And I don't think we get enough of that in our society. So I'm glad you were jumping in.
I was talking to a few of the caregivers as well, and we talked about, there was this moment my car stopped going up a hill in Revelstoke in the snow. I had to jump in the truck with them. And I was like, I can't remember the last time I was with a bunch of people my age going towards a trip, being like, don't know what's going to happen. And it's like, as you get older, as you have kids, if you have different responsibilities, this shifts. So that was really great. And I had that same conversation with the caregivers on that sense of adventure that you have.
Yeah, adventure.
When you're going towards this unknown.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Lisa, for all that you've invested into this. Let's hear it for Lisa one more time. Yeah. Awesome, thank you. And I mean, that's actually a great segue into our next adventure, because we are going to watch episode number 2, which was Jihan's trip. And Jihan is down the front. Give a little wave, Jihan. Yes, because this trip for her was a big adventure in many, many ways. First time, I think, camping out in a tent, and first time in a canoe. And so it was a big moment for her, but also for me and for Andrea, who you will see on the screen. We had a great time together out there. So here we go. Episode number 2, Jihan's story.
I look over and you're like this high out of the water. That was awesome. My name is Dr. Mike Lang, and on hundreds of adventure trips, I've witnessed firsthand how trying new activities in nature can help us change our perspectives. Jihan immigrated to Canada 17 years ago to receive better care for 2 of her children who have a rare genetic disorder called PKU. Together with Andrea Hall-Wegner, a registered dietitian, I'm taking Jihan on a canoeing trip to explore some new perspectives on caregiving and nutrition. This is Caregivers in the Wild. How are you feeling, Jihan?
I'm nervous, actually.
A little nervous, yeah. Yeah, it'll be your first time in a tent, your first time in a canoe, but I love that you chose to come out here and try this new thing with us. It's pretty adventurous. You gotta go like this, adventure! Yeah! All right. There's lots of caregivers out there that have diets as part of their caregiving routines. So tell us a bit more about the PKU diet. I mean, by now you're sort of like a professional in this, with 2 kids. We're doing it for many years now.
PKU, no meat or no protein.
We have traces of protein in all foods, even in this wrap or even in the hummus, the meat, the cheese. And the only cure for PKU is following the diet that removes the phenylalanine amino acid.
So what happens then if they end up eating something with high protein?
When they are young, it's damage the brain. When they grow up now, they're cheating a lot, but it's affect their memory, their focus.
So the food they eat significantly impacts their brain function. Your oldest daughter was born in Egypt.
She born in Egypt, yeah.
And so how did that impact your daughter then? Because she was 3. She was there
Development delay, but she's not impact too much, as we imagine.
You demonstrate how moms can do anything for their kids, right?
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Yeah, wow. It's really cool to hear a little bit of the background of, and we'll talk a little bit more later today.
Yeah.
Jihan, is that your smiling face or your anxious face?
No.
It's hard for me to tell.
Are we racing?
Racing. Yeah.
He still is smiling, so I take it as a yes. Game on.
Yeah. We did it.
I'm proud of you.
This is our camp for the evening. We're gonna set up probably maybe 1 or 2 tents there. We can throw a couple tents up here on the grass. We'll have a bonfire down there. And this is sort of the kitchen area. There we go. What do you think?
Good, good.
Take a look at your humble abode for the night.
I'm trying to advise them every time to not eat wrong. Please don't eat wrong. I
Yeah.
beg you, don't eat wrong.
Yeah.
So this is what only thing I can do it right now.
What are some ideas that could help to make it so she doesn't have to beg her kids to do what's right for their health?
We have to look for little opportunities where we can give them choice and independence, but then use what I call more nutrition nudging versus nutrition nagging as a strategy. So some of the ways we can use more nutrition nudging is whenever there is an option to give choice, is to give that choice. So it may be, would you like to have X or Y today? And both of those are PKU friendly based choices, but we're allowing them to pick a choice versus saying you need to eat X. When you're a teenager, that just, backs her up and, don't tell me what to do, Mom.
Yeah.
I know it's best. And you get the classic, the eye roll.
Yeah. So what about you? How do you take care of your own nutritional needs, or do you?
No, I forgot myself actually for taking care of myself, so for nutrition. But a few years ago, I cut all the sugar from my life.
I'm sure Andrea has some comments about that because she loves chocolate. So.
I actually was a little sad to hear you say that, because the way that I think about nutrition is that our goal is to help people eat fully, and eating fully is healthfully and soulfully. And so healthful eating is getting all those nerdy, nutritious vegetables and, all your balanced meals in. But eating soulfully is also what feeds your soul. And so for you, it might be a sweet tooth. For me, it's chocolate. And so those absolutely still can be part of your diet. So it's always kind of finding that balance between eating healthfully and soulfully. That's really what eating fully is all about.
Cool. We have to end this conversation by asking, what is your soulful food?
Chocolate.
Chocolate. Yes.
This is why
marshmallows, chocolate. What's your chocolate?
This is chocolate. This is why we were paired together.
You guys were meant to be on this trip together. All right. Well, luckily we have 5 chocolate bars over here and some marshmallows. So let's do it. Yeah. Awesome. All right. You guys ready? River Day 2. Let's do it.
Day 2. Let's do it.
Do you feel like you have done a lot of nagging in the past when it comes to nutrition?
Yes, actually, I feel that. So maybe we'll try this point. So
yeah, let's try something different. Try something new.
Something
right?
different.
Yeah, something new.
Like this trip.
Yeah. I think nature could also be soul food for us in lots of different ways.
Yeah, you're right.
And sometimes it could even provide the nudge that we need to try new things in our caregiving experiences.
Do you guys remember in June when there was a flood warning on the Bow River? Yeah, that's when we went canoeing for the very first time. It was amazing. I don't know if you recognize, but those were big waves, We were like, it was amazing. So Jihan, come on up. Let's hear it for Jihan. Yes. Yeah. There's a lot of other people that we need to thank while Jihan's coming up here. Brad and Thomas were sort of the guides also on that trip with us. So they were behind the scenes with the raft, carrying all our gear down the river because we couldn't fit it in the canoe. Otherwise, we would have sunk them. We were already at the limit. The Bow River, right? Yes. Awesome. Well, Jihan, man, I just loved that trip with you and Andrew. We had so much fun. It was a little rainy. It was a little cold, me spending a lot of time outdoors sometimes I forget to fully prepare others for those experiences. And luckily Andrea was there to support you in that. But what was that like for you, to go out there, really literally put yourself out there in a big way, to go canoeing and camping overnight like that?
Yeah, it was an adventure
Here,
for
can you
me.
hold that a little closer? Yeah.
It was adventure for me actually, and it's like when I accept your invitation in the beginning, it's like what I'm doing right now.
I'm pretty sure that's what most people think. Yeah.
And then like after this, like it's like warning coming to my phone, like warning,
Flood warning, flood warning.
Like, like,
Yeah.
what's happening here? So,
Yeah.
and like after this, like I'm like completely blind when I came. Like I don't know anything about what's going to happen. Like especially with the washroom.
Yes, that was a bit of a shock. Luckily, like I said, Andrew was there to walk her through it.
like oh my God! Like I'm going to drink this water. Oh
Yeah.
Okay. Like what? Like a lot of things. Like sleeping here and on my tent is the beginning. So all like I was thinking all. I am the first one, so the bear will come and eat me first.
Yes, right next to the kitchen.
Chance to escape.
Yeah.
So I am the first one.
See, people always tell me these things after. I never on the trip. I don't find out about this stuff, but man, I mean, it was really cool. To watch you push yourself. I think that's one of the really cool things I love about taking people out for the first time on trips like that. It's just literally watching people try new things. And that sort of became a bit of our motto, right? Was it try something new, And we would sort of joke, oh, try something new. Here, I'm going to eat this chili. I'm not so sure about it. But
the
yeah.
trip is new for me, actually. It's very, very new. Like everything, every step, like how to build a tent, how to like to cook in the wild here, like out and drink this water and washroom. Like the washroom is a big, big thing.
Yeah. I feel like she's a little scarred from that experience, and I apologize to you.
I was myself forever, actually.
Yeah. Yes, I'm not going to go. Eventually, I think you did, but yeah, that was like, we were scared for a while. It's like, this has been too long. So, Jihan, I mean, you literally moved across the world to come to Canada, So part of the reasons why I sort of knew you would be fine on the trip is because you've done big things in your life already. And, so when you look back, I guess, at the last few years, as caregiver, but also someone who came to Canada and started sort of new here, what have you learned about yourself when it comes to, what have you learned about yourself in that whole process?
Like, I'm an adventure girl, actually. Like, I can do whatever, like anything, like, and I can put myself in the situation and see I will go with the flow. What's happening?
Yeah, adventure girl. I love it. Yes, yeah, awesome. Well, really quickly, Jihan, nutrition. I mean, that's such a big part of a lot of people's caregiving things, and it's funny because my wife's watching this and she's like, nudging versus nagging, we got to try that with our kids, like there's so many lessons.
She's because even this is not happening to me.
Oh yeah, you're still working on it, huh? Yeah. But there's been a lot of comments online from lots of caregivers who've watched it, just talking about how valuable it was to hear you guys have that conversation and to recognize the difference between soulful eating and healthful eating. And Andrea, unfortunately, we don't have time to bring you up here. I really wanted to talk with you, but you just had such incredible things to say. And out of all the episodes, there's such clear takeaways for people around nutrition. And so thank you, Jihan, for putting yourself out there like that, and for Andrea for being there and just being that voice. It was so fun with you guys. So let's hear it for those two one more time. Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, Jihan. Cool. All right, well, we're going to watch one more, then we'll do a little bathroom break before we move on to some of the final ones. And next, we're actually going to watch episode number 6. And this one, I've forgotten the name. Oh, no. What is episode number 6? I don't know. Just play it. Here we go.
Oh my gosh, this is hard work.
Yeah, this is a pretty fast little section, actually, to be on the oars for the first time. My name is Dr. Mike Lang. As a whitewater river guide, certified, I use river trips to help people reflect, refocus, and rebuild their lives after a difficult healthcare experience. Juliana's 18-year-old daughter has Rett syndrome and is in the process of transitioning to the adult healthcare system. So together with Dr. Lisa Belanger, a behavior change expert, we are taking Juliana down the Kootenay River so that we can reflect on what matters to her and where she would like to go from here. This is Caregivers in the Wild. I've got lots of great memories with my family actually on this river, so excited to make a few more. Awesome, okay, here we go. I'll untie us. Let's go all back. All back.
Come on, Lisa.
There we go. Lisa, put your hand on the T-grip.
Yep.
Yeah, there we go. Nice. Nice. And we're off.
Woohoo!
Woo!
So I have two daughters. My eldest, Riley, has Rett syndrome, which is a severe neurological and developmental disorder. It's a combination of having some autism characteristics, Parkinson's, epilepsy, and cerebral palsy kind of combined. She's nonverbal, can no longer walk, has had scoliosis surgery, has seizures. There could be days, weeks where she will sleep no more than an hour or two a night.
Wow.
I was always career oriented. I even told my husband, when we get married, a career is really important to me, but it's just, I felt that I had to let that part of me go.
So this is your journal.
Oh, thank you.
And we're going to be doing quiet times every morning, and we'll have different things to think about for the next 3 days as we head down the water together. And the first one here is roles and ambitions. You know, think of 3 roles that you play in life, and then summarize your ambitions. What do you want for each of those roles?
So self-reflection is really important because you want to slow down and evaluate the decisions you're making, and make sure that the behaviors or habits are going in the direction you want to go.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I think for me, a parent, a wife, a daughter, a sister, I struggle with trying to create an identity, and what does that look like outside of my family, and what's that healthy balance that keeps everything going, but it allows me to feel individually fulfilled.
Yeah. Most of my life is, you know, sort of planned out, but out here, you don't know what's going to happen. It's an adventure, and so it's good for me to be reminded of that. So I'm glad that you're a go with the flow type of person.
Absolutely.
On the river, anyway.
On the river, yes.
Yeah. All right, you guys ready? Here we go. What do you think about this wave? It looks pretty big.
Let's give it a go.
Just do it?
Yep.
All right.
Oh my gosh!
Oh, that'll wake you up. That'll wake you up in the morning.
This is beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's really cool.
That's amazing. There's 3 different reasons why the waves occur.
Yes.
Do you remember?
Constriction,
Yeah.
rocks on the bottom, and water movement, right?
You can have family, you can have a career, you can have friends, but you can't necessarily have it all at once.
Cool. Well, because it's a bigger day on the river and we don't have time for a quiet time on shore, I thought we could do it on the boat.
Okay.
And it's related to roles and ambitions, but it's called a life mission statement.
Even in the way that organizations use them, it's about clearly defining where you'd like to go.
Yeah.
And allows you to make decisions that lead you in that direction along the way. So instead of getting distracted by what might be pulling at your attention, you can be really clear on the path you'd like to take.
Exactly, yeah.
This is hard because everything else has to work around her,
Right.
Yeah.
in order for me to sleep at night.
Yeah, that's true.
But could it look different with her not being at the center, but still take care of her needs?
Yes.
Yeah.
In a way that she feels supported.
Of course. Yeah. And so I'm going to say a really dramatic statement, but I do want you to think about it.
Okay.
your mission can't be somebody else. You can't exist for somebody else.
Right.
And that's what's so hard about this.
Yes.
And that's what I'm trying to push him on.
Yeah.
Is that can be a massive element, but is there
Absolutely.
something else? And for right now, it could be something small.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, you know, I got to say, I've loved this trip partly because of the whitewater, but mainly because of the great conversations like this that we've had every day on the boat.
If I had two typical children, I would need to do all the stereotypical traditional things. And so if I reframe this as, yes, it's not the life that I envisioned, but what am I going to do with it? I know not everyone has the opportunity to have this experience, but I think there are ways to implement strategies where I can feel at the end of next year that I'm at peace. And not look back and just instead keep on looking forward.
You know, stopping and reflecting on what have I learned? How have I changed? You know, what is different in my life now? You know, I think that's got to be one way to add a bit of meaning to a very difficult long-term experience that you're going to have for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Juliana, and Lisa, once again. Unfortunately, Juliana was on an airplane tonight and not able to make it, but she will watch this. So one more for Juliana. Yeah. Awesome. Well, because Juliana isn't able to be here, I thought maybe we would bring down a very special person, part of this production, our producer, Joel Goundry, to regale us with a wonderful behind-the-scenes story. And I don't know what he's going to share, so we'll find out in a minute. But let's hear it for Joel. Yes. If it wasn't for Joel, this series would definitely not have happened. So it's awesome to get to celebrate you too, Joel. Seriously, man. Thank you for all the work you did to make this work.
You.
So,
yeah. It has been certainly a very busy summer, as you could tell.
Yeah.
Very busy, but a ton of fun. I was able to go on 3 of the 7 trips that we did.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was unbelievable to spend that time in nature and spend that time with so many wonderful people. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't trade that for anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So behind the scenes story. Tell us something that you didn't see on screen, but that happened.
Okay, I'd have to say the most exciting behind the scenes story is when we lost the drone and and then recovered it.
Yes. I know all those beautiful shots of the river we lost all those.
Yeah. So
anyways, Joel,
you remember earlier where Lisa was talking about like 12-year-old boys getting like excited about throwing sticks and stuff? That's kind of what we did. So basically, there was a particular shot, as you notice in each episode, there's that shot where we do, where Mike says, and this is Caregivers in the Wild, and the drone pulls out from him all the way back. So we were going to do that, and we were going to do it in this kind of steep canyon that we were filming in. And Phil, our wonderful DP, was like, I don't know if there's enough like steep, like enough clearance for me to pull back high enough and fast enough for it to work.
Yeah.
And
I bullied him into it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And we're like, yeah, it'll be fine. Like,
it'll be fine. Come on, Phil.
Yeah.
It's only a $5,000 drone. You know, whatever.
No worries. So I'm standing there with Phil watching the screen, and you see Mike say the line, and then you see the drone pull back, and then a few seconds later you see a tree come by, and Phil's like, oh no, we're too close in the trees, and then another one. And then you see it go and like look up at branches like.
I watched it the whole way, and I was like, he's gonna pull up. He's not pulling up. And just as I was turning around, that's when it hit. And I was like, no.
Yeah. So we see it, and then Mike's like, I think I can see it across the river there.
I saw
like
it all
it's
the way.
in the tree.
I knew where it was.
Yeah. So they were like, I don't know if I could see it. So he took a photo with his finger on it, so he could like point to it in the photo, so we could just understand where it was. And then we're like, I don't know what we're going to do. And then Mike and I were like, let's go and get it.
Let's do this.
I think we can do it.
Yeah.
Like, we can do it. So that's where our 12-year-old boy brains kicked in. And we're like, yeah, okay, what are we going to do? So, like, we got the raft and we got it set.
We pushed it upriver, the raft, like all the way around a corner, wading in the water.
Yeah. We pushed it upriver, and then we had to ferry, like, directly across the river. So my job was just to, like, put my head down and
hang on.
Paddle.
Yeah, and paddle. That's right, you had to paddle.
So we got across, and then we had to, like, hike through this, like, mossy bog and, like, climb this, like, mossy hill. Very much bushwhacking. And then you're like, we should check for ticks after this.
Yeah.
And we did.
I don't know if I ever did, actually.
Yeah, I don't know if I did either. So we climbed up, and then there was this road kind of leading across the ridge. And so we ended up finding the tree, and we found the exact tree, and we're like, there it is, yeah. But it was like 60 feet up. I don't know.
We did say 40, but I think now it's probably closer to 70.
Yeah, I think
I've told this story a few times.
Every time we embellish it just a bit more.
It's probably 70.
Yeah, I think at least 80. So we saw it up there, and so we tried all the different things that you try. We tried throwing rocks at it, but we weren't accurate enough. We tried throwing sticks at it. We tried shaking the tree, but it was too...
Karate kicking the tree.
And then you, for a minute, had like straps, and we're like, I'm going to shimmy the tree like those... Like,
it's true. I thought I could do the lumberjack thing. I was all set up, and I'm like, nope, not going to work, unfortunately.
And then at that moment, you realize, I actually don't know how that lumberjack thing works.
I know. I think they had spikes on their feet, because it was hard. I
So-
only made it like 4 feet up.
So then we're like, I don't know what else we could... Did we try anything else first? I think that was all
No,
the things we tried.
I rigged up a pulley system to see if we could break the tree down. But it was like this big around. It was not happening.
So then I was like, what if we could get another dead tree line around here and use it as like a poker and like poke that branch down? And so we found a really big one. And Phil remembers the joy of seeing it from across the river as there's like the forest and then this like tree that just like...
And there's one tree just walking along.
Because that was the only way I could carry it. I couldn't carry it. Yeah. I had to carry it straight up or else it would knock into things. And we were kind of on the edge of a cliff too, but we were safe.
Yeah.
So we got that under the tree, but it was like 10 feet too short because it was at least 90 feet up.
Yeah.
At least.
I'm pretty sure it was like 30 feet too short.
Yeah.
It was 30 feet too short.
So then Mike had the idea, let's find another tree and lash them together and like make this extra long pokey stick. And you did that.
Yeah.
And then we carried it over there, and it like was just poking that branch. And
first we had to lift it up, and this thing is like, and we're just like,
yeah. So we lifted it up, and it was just a little bit short, and so we had to lift it up to like this high, as I recall, and just like.
It was that high for you, Joel. I was like this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we like, and we could see it jostling the branch, and then. Gung, gung, gung. And I had like a primal moment.
It was.
Like,
yeah! They heard us yell from across the river.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Phil can attest to our yells, yeah. And then I held it up as you do, just on the edge of the cliff, like, yeah. So we recovered it, and we made the whole trip back. And then Phil later that night was going to fly it. He's like, going to try it out. And it flew. It flew for the rest of the trip.
And he used it on all the other expeditions.
Yeah.
So, happy story.
Yeah. So we recovered the footage, and we didn't damage it amazingly. So I think, like, we deserve a high five for that.
I know. Yes. Well done, Joel.
So
awesome.
Yeah. That was a very exciting behind-the-scenes story. And Lisa and Juliana were sitting around the fire, and they were hearing us do that, and they're like, those
what
boys.
Are they doing?
Yeah.
It was super fun.
But
it was fun. Like, that was, you think about adventure, that was, for me, it was really adventurous. I loved it. That was a good bonding moment, Joel.
Yes, it was.
And you.
Yeah. We did it.
Awesome. Well, hey, let's hear it for Joel.
Thanks,
awesome guy.
Yeah.
Great. I think, we're going to take a little break. We'll come back, and then we're gonna watch 2 more episodes. We will get to watch Paul's episode, and then we'll also get to watch Yinka. Yinka's out there somewhere. She'll give us a wave, but we get to watch Yinka's episode. So just let's do a really quick one, like 5 minutes. Go to the bathroom, grab some snacks, hang out in the lobby. We'll come back and we'll wrap up together. But thank you guys. It's been really fun so far. All right. We are on to our final couple episodes of the evening. This one, I thought maybe I would start with just a little story here because there's so many behind-the-scene things that happen. And one of those things that happened was, you'll notice in this episode, Yinka's episode, there is no professional, sort of caregiving professional on the trip with us. And that's because Susie, who was going to be on the trip with us, actually tested positive for COVID. She tested all week. And then we all tested the day before we got on the boat, And unfortunately, she woke up the next morning with a scratch in her throat. She tested again, and she was positive. I don't know how it happened, but it was super disappointing for all of us. And we had me and Susie had a very long, depressing, hour-long boat ride back to the harbor to drop her off. And we were all pretty disappointed about it. But Susie and our skipper, who you're going to see here in a bit, Steve, I remember watching them at the beginning of the episode when they're up on the boat. And I was like, these guys are having a real good time together. They look like they really enjoy each other's company. And so yesterday I was texting with Steve, and Steve sends me this text message. It's actually a bit of a funny story. So that's the best type of text message, right? Susie and I kept in touch as we each recovered from COVID. And once we were both well, Susie mentioned that she was coming to the island to visit a friend and asked me if she could pop down to take me for a sorry for giving you COVID lunch, because Steve also got COVID, unfortunately. And so I suggested that we go sailing instead, since she missed most of our amazing Caregivers trip. So we had a nice day sail. Afterwards, Susie had to ask me about seeing each other, because with my diagnosis, because Steve is diagnosed with cancer, and everything else, we thought that we thought the thought of starting to date was just not on my radar, and I was just oblivious, which sounds like most men. Thankfully, she did, because now we've been having a really nice time together. So anyways, even though I did tease her relentlessly about going to the extreme of giving me COVID just so she could ask me out. And here's a wonderful photo of them enjoying a sunset sail. I know you can't see it, but anyways, that's just a really super fun story about COVID bringing people together. We thought it was ruining the trip, but here they are having a wonderful time together. So we're going to watch Yinka's story. Well, you'll get to meet Steve. Unfortunately, Susie's not in that episode because we just chose, it was just difficult to incorporate her in 7 minutes. But she is, Susie, when you watch this, you were in our hearts on this trip. And so, yeah, here we go. Yinka's story.
I'm here in the middle of the ocean. Yeah. Talking about cancer, oh my God.
I know, hey. My name is Dr. Mike Lang. During my own cancer experience 14 years ago, I learned how easy it is to feel isolated and alone when facing health challenges. Yinka had the same experience as a caregiver for her husband. We are going sailing with another cancer survivor, Steve, so that together we can discuss the importance of connecting with your community and recognizing that we are all perfectly imperfect. This is Caregivers in the Wild. Been on a dock like this?
No.
No?
Oh my God, are you entering all this?
Yeah.
Which of them?
Which of them? Write it down at the end. Serona.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's where we'll find Steve. There he is. Hey, Steve. All right.
In terms of the boat, it really kind of started with my cancer story. So stage 4 cancer, and the prognosis wasn't very good. But that's when I bought a little sailboat first, and then got this one, and I've been just doing as much sailing as I can, as long as I can.
Okay.
Okay, I'll give you the helm.
Okay.
There you go. You've got it. So get a little feel of it. So with the sail, that's good. Now come back the other way a little. So Yinka's got it. I'm gonna go for a nap.
No, don't go. Our son is married now. It's time for us to kind of travel. So we had all these plans. Then my husband complained of pain. It was Easter weekend. Then he was diagnosed with multiple myeloma. So all the plans, all the aspirations, everything now went down the drain. Because nobody knew it could last 1 week. It was that bad. He could not walk. He could not sit. He could not do anything. It was very bad.
Wow. So they thought that he would pass away within the week.
Yeah. I had to be the driver. I had to be the husband. I had to be the wife. I had to be the father. I had to be the mother. I had to be the sister. I had to be the brother, everything. And as a caregiver, it's a lonely journey.
All right. Yeah, dig in.
Lord, we thank you for this food. Let it bless our body. In Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. All right. Well, it's good fish. You know how to cook fish. definitely do not.
I'll let you grab part and we'll pull together. It's really...
I did it!
Here's the moment of truth. Look at that.
In our culture, in most African or black culture, people don't really talk about cancer. When people have cancer, they think either the person has sinned or has done something wrong. And people don't talk about it because it's like a stigma.
So if you left from here and you were sailing, you could be in Hawaii in about 10 days or so.
10 days?
Yeah.
Wow. People don't want anybody to know that they are sick. It's only when they are dead or they are about dying, that's when you know that they have cancer. People don't talk. So as a caregiver, sometimes you feel ashamed.
Yeah, I think there might be a cool little spot somewhere along here where we can do a little excursion in the dinghy. All right, you ready, Inka?
Of course.
Okay, here we go.
In one of my research, I found out that I think the first weekend in June is actually Cancer Survival Day. So June 25 this year, we had an event celebrating cancer survivors in our community. It was so good. We had about 200 people in there. Some were crying that, oh my God, because they just hear that people who have cancer, they don't know what they have gone through.
Yeah.
So it was an eye-opener for many people. And from that day, we've had many people join the group. So that all started from us coming out from our lived experience.
Yeah. You know, when you think about that idea of stigma and of not feeling free or open to talk about things, I think one of the only ways that will ever change is a few people at a time. You share with a few people and you encourage them to talk about their experience. Maybe, who knows, someday people will feel more comfortable.
It will be a good thing. They will be able to spread the word that cancer is no longer a death sentence, because that's one of the stigma in our community. Once people hear cancer, they think the person is dead.
You know, when you're first diagnosed, it's almost like you've just been dropped off in the middle of the ocean.
Yes.
And in a little boat, and no one's telling you where to go or what to do. And yeah, I think we all need people in our lives who have been there before to be able to make it out of those difficult situations, to find land again.
Okay.
We're gonna go straight across the channel there.
Oh my God.
As fast as you can. Go.
You know, so my boat's a little bit older, and there's always little things that need fixing or going wrong, and just loving the perfect imperfections of the boat. And it's exactly the same thing with our bodies.
Perfectly imperfect. You know, we talked a lot about stigma, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Comes from this idea that there's something wrong. Either you've done something wrong, and so your body has reacted in the wrong way, or you know, your body, there's something wrong with your body. And I love this idea of being perfectly imperfect. Yes. And if more people accepted that idea, there'd be less stigma around illness.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's okay to say, yes, I'm tired. Nobody should ask me, why are you tired? Because we all get tired.
Yeah.
Caregiving affects everything from head to toe, and you have to be perfectly imperfect.
Yeah.
And sometimes even caregivers need a hand to pull up the anchor.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, there we go.
Thank you.
Yes.
Wow.
Fun. We had a lot of fun, as you could tell. We laughed pretty much the whole time. And so let's talk to Yinka. Where are you? There you are. Let's hear it. One more for Yinka. Yeah. Come on down. Awesome. Coincidentally, this trip was the only one out of all the trips we did where it did not rain on us. So it was, obviously Yinka is very sunny. disposition that gave us that wonderful weather. But it was really just awesome day, to sail around the Southern Gulf Islands there. Come on over, take a seat here. Oh, where's the microphone? All right, here we go. So, one of the other things that we did a lot, Yinka, because unlike some of the other trips, sailing is, you literally just pull on ropes every once in a while and then sit there. So we talked a lot. So, we had so many great conversations. So maybe, what was one of the things that didn't end up in the episode that we talked about that you, that you really remember and appreciated? Some sort of conversation or topic we looked at.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. There are a few things that we actually talked about. We talked about this being the last chapter of my book. Mm-hmm. I've been writing a book, and for some reason, I couldn't get the last chapter. So on the trip, I was writing my diary every day. And I'm like, wow, God was actually waiting for me to go on this trip because I didn't know about it before. And that's how I was able to get it done.
Yeah, it was cool. She would go downstairs and scribble on her journal. I'm like, what is she doing? What is she writing in there? She's like writing notes about things I'm doing wrong or something. I don't know. But,
not really.
Yeah, and then afterwards she tells me, wow, this trip can, it might be the ending of the book. And so, tell us a little bit more. You've done so much stuff. Obviously, in the episode, you talk about Cancer Survivor Day, 200 people from your community celebrating cancer survivors, such a big event. But you've done a lot of other things to advocate on behalf of your community. So tell us about some of those things.
Well, I'm from Nigeria, of course, in Africa. In our community, whether from Africa or from Caribbean or Black community, we actually don't talk about it. My mom passed of cancer, breast cancer, that was in 1995. And when my husband was diagnosed in 2016, I'm like, no, cancer will not kill my husband. It did kill my mom, but it will not. So I will try whatever in my power that God has given me to help him heal. And not just me, we had help. We had prayers. I'm a Christian. We had pastors praying. We had people praying for us. While we take medications, I don't tell people, I tell people, take your medication. When you take your medication, pray as well. When you pray, you put action. And also my community, the Nigerian community here in Calgary, they rose up, they supported us. And through one of the act of kindness of one of the community members is how we started what we call the Turkey Drive. And Turkey Drive is every Thanksgiving and Christmas, we deliver turkey meals to those going through cancer and other challenges of life.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah.
And why did we start that? 2016 Thanksgiving, actually my husband will be a year older tomorrow because his stem cell was October 6, 2016. He did his stem cell, they asked him to go home. We didn't know what to do. By the time he got home, he was frail, and I was tired. I had 2 turkeys in my freezer, but I could not cook. My house was so dirty because I didn't have energy. And someone came to visit us. He looked around like, I'm sure he felt that this house, there was no festivity in it. Then he brought us already prepared turkey. People gave us food, but that was a kind of like icing on the cake. And since then, every Thanksgiving, so far we know that the person is going through cancer, disease, or any challenges of life, we have turkey prepared, and they will deliver it to their house. They don't have to pay a penny. We were spending our money. Why? Because it doesn't matter how much you have, money cannot buy life. It doesn't matter how much you have, By the time people are sick, money will just be there in the bank. So whatever we have, it's better to just use it to help humanity. And that is how we started. Since 2016, there's another Thanksgiving coming. And we've already, as caterers, we've already gotten names to caterers. And we ask people to help us, to support us. And thanks to people from the community that are helping us. Thank you.
Yeah, very cool. I think Yinka's selling herself a little short. The turkey is one thing. She also started a support group, started a charity. She's writing a book. She's on the board of the patient advisor board of the new Calgary Cancer Center. So there's lots of things you're doing.
Yes, okay. Also, the other thing we did was, when my husband got better, while he was going through the journey, I was writing a journal. Every day, people that came in, people that brought food, and that kind of helped us to write a book. When we wrote the book, people were surprised that, oh, you can talk about cancer? You don't talk about it. I'm like, why would you not talk about it? Because in our place, it's something that you have to cover. You don't open it up. And that book kind of helped us to open it up to the community. People were now reaching out to us. And I had to go to, I attended a training with another lady at the Canadian Cancer Society to start a support group. And the support group supports the Africans, Caribbean, and the Black communities. Why? Because people don't talk. So it's a safe environment for people to come together and share experiences, share symptoms. So we have survivors. They were able to give words of encouragement, words of hope to those that are going through the journey.
Yeah.
And now the support group is growing, and we are now Canada-wide, no longer in Calgary. People call us from everywhere, and we're able to support them. Then the new cancer center in Calgary, the Calgary Cancer Center. So I have been trying to be on the board, but they will not even look at my application. But January this year, we had this free PR by CBC, by Global TV. They just interviewed us, and now they were looking for me.
Yes, that's awesome. Cool.
Now, I'm a member of PFAC, Patient
Family Advisory Council.
Patient and Family Advisory Council. I think I have one of the ladies here.
Yes. Where's Marilyn? Wave your hand, Marilyn.
Yeah.
She's in the back.
Yeah, she's
Marilyn
in the
is
back.
also.
Yes.
We just hung out last week, right? Yeah.
Yes. So
Yeah.
I'm a member of PFAC. What we do is just to be able to help with the new cancer center. It's going to be a beautiful place. It's going to be a nice place. So we do a lot of things throughout. It's not just about food. We advocate for people going through cancer. And not just people of our culture. Those that are not even of our culture, they call, and we support them. We help people because cancer doesn't know color. Cancer does not know whether you are a man or you are a woman. Cancer does not know whether you are short or you are tall. It doesn't know anything. It doesn't know whether you are poor or whether you are rich. We thank God that we are in Canada, where we have cancer medications given to us. However, lots of out-of-pocket expenses. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Let's hear it for Yinka. Yeah, thank you so much, Yinka. Yes, all right. It's great. I mean, we talked so much. It was so much fun. And this next one that we're going to watch actually happened on that same trip, Dean. So you'll notice it's just me, Dean, and a kayak guide. There's no, Susie was not able to go on this trip either. But we had some great conversations about being a dad. And coincidentally, the final two ones are the two men who were in the series. We're going to watch Dean and Paul. So here we go. Episode number 7, Dean's story.
That's amazing.
This is amazing. Here he comes.
Oh
Here
my
he comes.
God.
Here he comes. No way. My name is Dr. Mike Lang. After years of facilitating adventure trips, I've seen how participants rely on each other to achieve their objectives. As a frontline psychiatric nurse, Dean thought he had the tools to navigate his new caregiving responsibilities after his wife Sarah was diagnosed with cancer. But over time, they both recognized the increasing strain on their relationship. Together with our kayak guide Chris, we are confronting Dean's intense fear of open water while exploring how to maintain healthy relationships in the midst of a caregiving experience. This is Caregivers in the Wild. Dean told me he's a little nervous.
Oh yeah, that's okay.
Super nervous.
Yeah, no, that's
super nervous.
Totally natural.
This smile is his super nervous look.
Yeah, that's
right
okay.
now.
Once you're out and it's just flat, we'll just coast along.
Well, that's
It's
good.
gonna be
That's why
beautiful.
we're going together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here we go. Look at that.
Wow.
You're the motor.
Am I?
That's great. I just get to steer. So I was excited when I met Dean for the first time, and I was like, yeah, he's got muscles.
What?
This will be
I
great.
don't have any muscles. What are you talking about?
In 2019, my wife was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. My youngest was probably 3, and my oldest was about 6. It was a dark time, I can definitely say, because you're so busy with medical treatments that you do what you need to do for survival. So I ended up getting a Monday to Friday job, and it wasn't an easy choice because that meant I had to change what I do and who I am. I'm a little saddened by it, and I was almost even angry at times about how fair this is and how unfair.
And so did you ever say to Sarah, like, I'm feeling resentful or I'm feeling bitter?
Yes, so that's pretty much the other part about communication with me and her. That's why it's been helpful to, for example, counseling that me and Sarah go through. Having a third person basically kind of, they listen, they're not as triggered. Because as a psych nurse, I thought, well, I'm okay. I know the training, I know what to do, I know what to say, I know how to cope. Nope, because I was drowning.
When caregiving changes everything in that way, relationships with yourself or with your spouse or with your work, that's like a huge knock to your identity as a person, right? So, going to counseling, doing all these things, it starts to make that seem like actually a really great idea and not something that you need to do if you have problems, right? Because we all do. Caregiving brings them all to the surface. You felt good after last night?
Yeah, I did actually.
And now we're going to do more of an open crossing.
Oh wow,
to that island over there, right? So,
yeah, well, now we'll just keep trying to go as straight as we can. Center of that island there.
Yeah.
If the weather's nice and you can get away with it, coming out to the Bretons is kind of it's a great idea because you never know what's going to happen out here.
Yeah. So Chris, you were listening in yesterday as we were chatting.
Yeah.
What were you thinking about?
I was kind of self-reflecting a little bit, like you got to be strong for your kids. There's times when they're going to learn why you're upset and why you're happy. And
well, I think you're already doing the first step. Like you're already explaining what's going on the best you can.
You gotta use your words.
Yeah.
That's what I say, right? Use your words.
You got to use your words.
Yeah. Well, there's a seal sticking up there. You see him sitting up there?
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, he's a little guy. It's cool getting to be out here with a couple dads, actually.
Yeah.
Reflect on this stuff, I mean, you don't really talk about being a dad. You just do it.
Yeah, it is.
Just in the same way, you don't really talk about being a caregiver. You just do it.
Yeah.
Again, that's a cedar, right?
This is what will catch the spark.
Yes.
As soon as that does, it should ignite enough.
Oh, look at that.
Anything burnt that's on the beach, bring it for your fire. Oh. The inside will be nice.
Yeah.
Fire 101.
Yeah.
It's going.
Oh, that's amazing.
Sounded good, man. Sounded real good.
Thanks.
Beautiful. A long time ago, someone shared with me something called the PATH principle. Have you ever heard that?
No.
PATH principle?
No.
It's very simple. It's like direction, not intention, determines your destination.
Oh, I love that.
Chris was always pointing at, like, you know, I point for that tree or the end of that island or that cliff, you know, and it gave us a point of reference to paddle towards, you know, instead of just having good intentions of paddling to Burton Island.
Exactly.
It gave us an actual path to get there. Right?
Yep.
The sea is so the same, and there's so many little intricacies that you can't even notice. And especially in your relationship, if you're in a two-person kayak and you have conflicting views.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Right?
If you want different things, that's not good.
As the one steering, I'm fine with steering, but what about the other person? No wonder they're so scared, right?
What does she feel like? Yeah. No one goes into, you know, these big life things like being a partner, father, a caregiver, thinking I'm just going to be mediocre at this.
Yeah.
We always have the best intentions, but often, you know, we just get off course. I mean, it's a big world, right? It's easy to be paddling in circles. Here he comes. Here he comes.
Wow.
Yeah!
Wow.
Oh my God. Woo! Yeah, that was awesome.
Oh my.
Yes, that was awesome.
In the end, it was difficult, but really good. We're in a good place right now. It's kind of amazing to see my kids grow, but also our relationship with each other has grown.
So that's why he's not here tonight. But he will watch this too. And so one more for Dean. Yes. It was awesome to have you. I think we need to have just one more behind the scenes story from our wonderful director of photography, Phil Harrison. Where are you? There he is. Let's hear it for Phil. Yes. So Phil, we were talking in the lobby. Phil's heard a lot of wows and ooh and ahs, and so thank you guys for doing that because he's feeling really good about himself right now. He has, yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, let's do one more for Phil. You know, I've got all these images in my mind of him, you know, on the end of a boat balancing a camera, you know, or actually there's a really good one where he's trying to catch a drone while floating in the raft. And the thing's going like this, and he's like, oh. And so it's amazing, Phil, some of the things that you were able to accomplish out there with not a whole lot of infrastructure to support it. So how about you just tell us one quick story about something that, a shot that you really liked, or a moment that you thought went really well as you were capturing it, or maybe a time you almost lost a camera or something like that. Tell us a story.
Sure. Well, of course, the drone loss was
Yeah.
the most interesting story, and that kind of like is all thanks to Mike's perpetual optimism. When it comes to these trips, Mike's always the optimist, and I'm always the realist. And Mike's like,
Yeah.
adventure, we're gonna do this, get the drone up, and I'm like, Mike, what about?
Yeah.
all the things in
What
the way?
about like how I thought that we were going to fit all of our camera gear into a kayak.
Yes.
And you know,
No.
we fill the entire back of a pickup truck with all the
Yes.
camera gear. So
Yes.
that was very optimistic of me. Yeah.
But your optimism also led to those final shots of the eagle, because Mike was so persistent and excited to try and film this eagle. We'd done it the day before and waited and waited. The guide had a way of kind of calling him and getting the eagle interested in this fish. And on the final day, it was like getting late in the morning, and we had to go, and I was just shaking my head. I think Dominique, my partner, was there filming with me, which
Yes.
made that trip even more amazing.
Yes.
And it was Mike's optimism that just kept us there, kept us filming. And sorry, Dan, there's probably like 4 hours of
Yes.
not seeing an eagle.
The poor editor. Yeah, he's like scrubbing through this forever. He's like, where is this going to end?
It was your perpetual optimism that got us that shot. So, you know, I appreciate that.
All right. Awesome.
And it also got us a drone in a tree, but also got it back.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Because those drone shots, I don't know, to explain those, I'd fly backwards so I can't see what's behind the drone, and I fly them about 1 kilometer to get those final shots of every episode, between 1 kilometer and 2 kilometers, and it's a bit of an art to get it. And the one when we lost it, I was very suspect that I wouldn't be able to make it. It was so close, but we didn't get it.
It was so close. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, some of the things people have asked already, you know, seen a lot of comments online, how did they do that? And so, really quickly, what is it like for you, I guess, flying a drone around out there? What goes into that?
Flying the drone is interesting on the water, especially. I mean, the drone itself is simple. It's flown by a controller, but on the water is always moving, and the drone uses GPS to stay static, and I can't land it on the boat. So I have to line it up ahead of me in the direction the current's pushing us, and literally try and catch it out of the air and turn
As
it
you're going
off.
past,
going past. So it's quite the experience. And on the pilot, I did have one slip out of my hand and cut it open. But
it's true. Phil was bleeding all over his camera. But being the prepared outdoors person, I had my first aid kit. And but we filmed the rest of the day, and he's got this bloody bandage and this blood on his camera. But Phil, thank you so much for making this, so beautiful for people to watch. And so one more for Phil. Yes. Cool, man. Awesome. Cool. Well, final show. Drum roll. Last but not least, one of my buddies, Paul. And Paul, we filmed our episode together the day after the flood warning with Jihan. And so we had the craziest stuff happening that week. Remember, it was the end of June, and it snowed 1.5 meters in the mountains. So we were supposed to go climb a mountain together, but it snowed 1.5 meters. And so we literally made it up the day before, and it ended up being just such an awesome time out there. So anyways, here we go. Paul's story, and then we'll get to hear from him. Episode number 3. Here we go.
No, that's it. I'm coming down, Mikey.
Break. You're almost there.
No, I don't know if I. Okay.
My name is Dr. Mike Lang. For many years, I facilitated rock climbing adventures and saw the value of encouragement to help people push through the crux of a difficult climb. I know my friend Paul finds it challenging at times to be a supportive husband and father when one of his children has higher needs due to a global developmental delay. So Paul and I are spending a weekend in the mountains with Nicole Struthers, a certified health coach, to explore the difference between appreciation and affirmation in family caregiving. This is Caregivers in the Wild.
Look at this, man. It's so awesome.
Yeah, beautiful, eh?
Yeah.
Man, what a day.
Yeah.
I was ready for like full-on downpour this morning.
Yeah.
Hey, how would you like to walk backwards off a cliff to start the day?
I'm in.
Anyone? Anyone? All right, yeah, all right. Let's do it.
Amy and I were married 12 years ago, and then we had our first child, Isaiah, 2 years into our marriage. He's been assessed as global developmental delay, so motor skills, verbal, everything. High energy, demand for attention at all times. Yeah, and if he doesn't get that attention, then there's behaviors and stuff that happen out of that. It takes an incredible amount of patience. It's for me, I don't like making a scene and stuff, so this has been a stretching thing for me to be in public and to be the focus of everyone.
Nice. Wow. You got this, Paul. You got it, man. Yeah.
Yeah, Mikey.
I remember actually the first time we met at the campsite. I watched you guys were putting Isaiah to bed. I saw you come out and just sit down with like this shell-shocked look on your face. And then a few minutes Amy came out and you got up and went back in. I was like, man.
Shift.
I was like, man, that is amazing. You know, that there's someone who's willing to put in the effort to get their kids out doing that stuff.
Yeah, I remember that. You saw a great example of like one of the,
of what it's
challenges.
like.
Yeah. And it's been hard, obviously, with Amy and I, right? With that kind of stress can rip people apart, or it's hard for sure, and it has been hard. But yeah, we're working way better together.
All right, man. Here we go. Pump yourself up. Get pumped.
Encouragement is very important to me.
Yeah.
And, it kind of goes pretty deep, but like a need for affirmation. For me, it can't be all expected from Amy, my wife.
I think that's it, guys. He's got it. He's gonna get it.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's it.
Sometimes you have a hard time seeing your own potential, or you get stuck in the weeds of every day and you beat yourself up about little things. And so it kind of helps to open your gaze a little bit and be like, oh yeah, like I can be that person, or other people see me as that.
Yes, you're doing it. Yes, you're doing it. Yes, yeah. There it is.
Right to the top, yeah.
Yeah, Paul. Yeah.
Thanks for the help, guys. Yeah, I seriously didn't have any intention of actually doing it. But having Grant to direct me was huge.
Yeah. Sometimes it helps having someone showing you the holds, you know?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I'm glad you made it. I'm glad we had such a great day out here.
Yeah.
And so tomorrow we're going to be climbing a mountain on Father's Day. It'll be really neat to sort of reflect a little bit about being a dad. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, right on.
Yes. Yeah. Paul.
Hi, Mickey.
Awesome. I have something for you to read on my phone here.
Oh,
And
sweet.
so I'm gonna load it up, and we'll just give you a few minutes to read these things. All right, here you go.
Right on, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, man. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got a bunch of letters from your friends and family back home.
Yeah.
Was there something that someone said or something that stood out to you as you were reading all those letters?
A lot of people saying the humble but strong. So it's
Mhm.
kind of cool to hear that.
Yeah, that's real affirmation.
Yeah.
About who you are, your
Yeah.
character.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times it's really easy to just appreciate,
Yeah.
the things that caregivers do.
Yeah.
And we forget to affirm people for who they are.
Yeah.
Maybe you could read something that really meant
Yeah.
something to you.
Yeah, my brother actually, he never talks. Yeah, he said, that Paul is, he's the best brother a person could ask for. He's genuine, caring. He makes me a better man, a father, and husband. That's cool. I never heard that from him before, so that's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
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 Cool.
Yeah, it's like a fellow father, right? It's like cool to hear that from him.
And hearing like who people actually see you as
Yeah.
is that it calls you to step into that role more because you're like, oh, people see me as this.
Yeah.
Right? Like I want to live into that.
Yeah.
I want to be that man that people actually see me. And so
Yeah.
it pulls you forward and to be a better dad, a better caregiver, because we often don't believe the best about ourselves.
Yeah.
You haven't stopped your life.
Right.
Yeah, it's changed. It looks different.
Yeah.
But you're still climbing mountains.
Yeah.
And you're choosing that every day.
Yeah.
I think as a dad, that's actually really inspiring. Right?
Yeah.
To see another dad who's actually choosing not to walk away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
There are mountain highs with Isaiah. And there
Yeah.
are, man. He's
Yeah.
unique.
Yeah.
I've never met anyone even close to Isaiah. And the lows are low, but the highs are really awesome. There's so many
Yeah.
days I'm like, I love hanging out with Isaiah one-on-one.
Yeah.
It's pure joy at times. It is pure joy.
Awesome, man. That was great. Bonnie loves, my wife Bonnie loves this one because it makes her cry. And she's like, we have this thing, me and Joel and Evan and Dan, we say, did the episode pass the Bonnie cry test? And if Bonnie cries, we know it was pretty emotional, and everyone's gonna love it. And this one definitely passed because that moment on the mountain, of reading something from your brother you grew up with, and here he is, affirming you for who you are. I mean, watching that now, how does that make you feel? I guess watching it yourself up on the screen.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. It's a precious, it's a cool moment to have, and just to be able to look back on that. And I still want to share it with my brother, but I know that he's going to watch it, so that's pretty cool. I'm thankful for the community and family and the support that I have with my family and my son.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've hung out with Isaiah. He's pretty awesome. You know, like I remember sitting in your garage and he's just like going crazy on the skateboard. I'm like, this kid's sweet, you know? Like, look at him. He's like, he's just like all in every moment. He's like all in. You know, tell us a little bit more about, you know, that thing that you said in there about being the center of attention. I mean, it sounds from the episode like this is his worst case scenario right now. He's the center of attention. But yeah, how do you sort of deal with that, I guess, now that, that, you know, we sort of just left it hanging in the episode, that was a hard thing for you. But,
right. Yeah, I guess I'm learning to get over it right now because this isn't all about me. So this is about encouraging other people and parents with kids with special needs or caregivers as well. So this isn't all about me, and so I don't need to be self-conscious and worried about that. So that is true. Like, this is an opportunity to share some of the great things that have happened in my life, and I'm happy to share that.
Yeah. Speaking about great things that happened in your life, you made it up that climb. Yeah. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And, you know, so, you know, you'd never been rock climbing before. What was it like to, you know, had you been rock climbing? I don't think you had been, right?
No, yeah, like it's been a long time. I think I was like over 20 years ago.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Yeah. No, it was cool. Like that overhang, I know that we started to do it. We weren't even going to do it.
No, we're like, that's too hard. We're not going to try that.
And my arms were kind of tired, but I was like, let's try it. And yeah, it blew me away that I made it up that one. That was the climb. It's the main climb in the video. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's cool. Yeah, having guides there to tell you where to do it and to know that it's possible, without someone, you know, an authority or someone saying that yes, it's possible. I probably wouldn't have thought I would. There's no way I would do that without an experienced person that had already done it or knew it was possible.
Yeah. You know, that's one of the things I love most about the episode. It alludes to all this stuff, right? Yeah. And, you know, you're talking about the guide, you know, knowing the holes, pointing your direction. When, you know, really you are being that person for others, right? Yeah. You know, like the friends and family that wrote you letters, but now the hundreds of thousands of people who have watched your episode, right? Yeah. Showing what's possible, you know. And I think, you know, one of the reasons why I love your episode is because it shows what's possible for dads in particular. And and you know, there's some pretty dire statistics around kids with developmental challenges and divorce rates. And to have a dad who's like, you know, yeah, it's really hard. The lows are lows, but the highs are highs. You know, I think that's so important for people to hear. Yeah. You know, and so, you know, I guess, you know, as you sort of reflect about, you know, some of the highs and the lows that you've had over the years, you know, if you were going to speak to other dads, what would you say to them?
Yeah. I think one of the things that, since we've gone on this, since we filmed it, I've had time to think and reflect about it. And I think one of the things that I would graciously share with the Father like that is a reason for the hope that I have, and that is my relationship with Jesus. It's like my relationship, that Jesus takes things that are broken, and having a special needs child will break you. It does break things, but Jesus takes those broken things and he repairs them, and it's true. And so I'm not trying to force that on anybody, but I can't not say that. So I just want to graciously. I want to graciously say that.
Yeah. You know what I like about that is, it breaks things, right? I mean, that's honest, right? And I think it's really easy to tell stories that don't show the brokenness, right? And I think that's what I like about our conversation, right? Is you talked about it, and we talked about actually where we met. We met in a campground in Drumheller. And that's where I was telling this story. You know, that's when Amy and by the way, Amy is right here. Let's hear it for Amy. She was in there too.
Yeah, she's a caregiver for sure.
Yeah. You know, we met you guys, and we were and me and Bonnie literally were sitting around our campfire thinking, wow, we got to go over and talk to that couple because they seem like really cool people. You know, to be out here. And we could tell that Isaiah was challenging at times. And I was like, but they're still here, right? And I think it's really easy when things don't go well. Right, to back away from adventure, right? Yeah. Back away from these experiences with your family. But you guys, the way that you get out there with people, it's inspiring to me. It was inspiring to us in that moment, and hopefully, I think the story will be inspiring to a lot of people too. So, appreciate you, Paul, being willing to do this.
One last, and I just want to say, helped me to get over myself was to support you, Mikey, because you had
a new baby boy, like a few days before we filmed this video.
That's
so
true. Yeah, I forgot about that. I had a baby the same week that I did this. Yeah.
I'm not trying to put the spotlight on you, but we're here to support each other. So yeah.
Yeah, totally, man. Well, hey, I love being your friend.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to more adventures.
Yes.
And thank you again for just jumping in with 2 feet into something that is maybe a little uncomfortable for you. It's like being up here on stage. It's awesome. Let's hear it for Paul. Yeah. Awesome, man. Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Well, that is it. That is the series. There's so much more that could be said about this. Every one of these conversations could have been an hour long, but yeah, hopefully you guys have all been able to take something from these stories and these conversations. I mean, that's really why we make them. And there's something about stories that have wisdom in them that you can then pull from and apply to your own life. And so for everyone who's been involved in this, there's a lot of people we haven't mentioned yet. We have to mention Evan, our wonderful editor, right here in the front row. Yes. Spent a lot of time with Evan. Also spent a lot of time with Dan. Dan, where are you? You have to put your hand up. He's in the back there. Yes, Evan and Dan. One of the things that we went into this series with is we said we wanted every episode to be our favorite. And I can say that we did it. Like, I can't pick my favorite episode. I love every one just as much. And I think Dan and Evan in particular, and Joel and Phil, and Dom, and Nate and Danny, some other people who filmed with us, they all made that possible. And of course, Tellus for taking a chance on us. I think that's pretty cool. We came in with a pretty crazy idea. Let's take caregivers and go do stuff outside, and they just decided to go with it, and we're so glad they did. And we're so glad for all of you being here tonight, for all the caregivers who were in the series. Thank you all. We literally have had hundreds of thousands of people watching these episodes online on Facebook and on YouTube. And on Facebook in particular, there's thousands of comments and likes and shares. And, this is really helping lots of caregivers all over the place. And we've got big ideas about where to take it next. So stay tuned. We've already got some other ideas cooking about how we can get more caregivers and more people who have faced healthcare challenges out into the wilderness so that they can learn and grow like we did when we made this series. So thank you all for being here, and good night.